The wind whipped Ilara's gray cloak around her, a biting chill that spoke of the encroaching winter and something far colder. She stood upon Amon Sul, the ancient watchtower, its stones worn smooth by time and the ceaseless gales. Below, the rolling hills of Eriador stretched out, a tapestry of greens and browns. But the vibrant colors seemed muted, overshadowed by a creeping dread. Ilara was not a wizard of flashy spells and booming pronouncements. Her magic was woven, from the earth itself, from the whisper of the wind in the pines, the slow, patient growth of the ancient oaks. She was a guardian, a weaver of subtle protections, a shepherd of the land, but even her ancient wisdom was strained by the encroaching darkness. The whispers had begun months ago, carried on the frigid northern winds. Tales of shadows stirring in the desolate wastes beyond Forodwaith, of the ground cracking with unnatural frost, of the dead walking with eyes of ice. The ravens, usually harbingers of ill tidings, now screamed of a force far beyond mortal comprehension. Helheim, the realm of the dead, was stirring. The Allfather, Odin, had grown weary, his vigilance faltering. The barriers between the realms were weakening, and Hel, the queen of the dead, saw an opportunity to claim Middle-earth as her own. Her legions, the Draugr, the frost giants, and the monstrous wolves of Fenrir's brood were massing. Ilara knew she could not face this threat alone. She had sent messages to the scattered peoples of Middle-earth, to the elves of Rivendell, the dwarves of Erebor, and the free folk of Rohan and Gondor. But time was short, and the response was slow. Old grievances and mistrust ran deep. A rider approached, his horse lathered and panting. It was a messenger from Rivendell bearing a scroll sealed with the sign of Elrond. Ilara unfurled it, her heart sinking. The elves, though concerned, were hesitant, unwilling to leave their hidden valley unguarded. "They fear the shadows will follow them," the messenger said, his voice trembling. Ilara sighed. Fear is a powerful weapon, and Hel knows how to wield. Yet she knew she had to rally them. She needed to remind them of their shared history, their shared vulnerability. She needed to rekindle the embers of hope. She sent out word calling for a gathering at the ruins of Fornost, the ancient capital of Arnor. She spoke of the ancient alliance of men and elves and dwarves, of the battles fought against the first shadows, of the strength found in unity. She spoke of the fragile beauty of Middle-earth and the horror of its destruction. Her words, though simple, carried the weight of ages. They spoke of the earth, of the trees, of the rivers, of the very essence of life that was threatened. She reminded them that even the smallest spark could ignite a fire that would push back the darkness. Slowly, the people began to arrive. Dwarves, grim and resolute, bearing axes and shields forged in the depths of their mountains. Elves, their eyes filled with ancient wisdom and sorrow, their bows strung with silver thread. Men weathered and strong, their swords gleaming in the fading light. Ilara stood before them, her gray eyes glowing with an inner fire. "We are not soldiers of war," she said, her voice clear and strong. "We are guardians of life. We are the inheritors of this land, and we will not surrender it to the cold embrace of death." The first clash was a storm of ice and steel. Draugr, their flesh rotting and their eyes burning with blue fire, surged from the north, their numbers seemingly endless. Frost giants, towering figures of ice and stone, smashed through the ranks, their clubs shattering shields and bones. The wolves of Fenrir, their teeth like shards of obsidian, tore through the lines, sowing chaos and fear. Ilara moved through the battle, a whirlwind of protective magic. She wove shields of earth and stone, conjured walls of thorny vines, and called upon the ancient spirits of the land to aid them. She healed the wounded, strengthened the weary, and guided the lost. The dwarves held the line, their axes ringing against the frozen flesh of the Draugr. The elves, their arrows swift and true, pierced the hearts of the frost giants. The men, their courage unwavering, fought with the ferocity of cornered wolves. The battle raged for days, the land itself trembling under the weight of the conflict. But Ilara's magic, fueled by the hope and resilience of the free peoples, began to turn the tide. She summoned the ancient spirits of the mountains who rose from the earth like living fortresses, their stony hands crushing the enemy. The wolves of Fenrir, weakened by the earth magic and the elven arrows, were finally driven back. Hel, sensing her defeat, unleashed her most fearsome weapon, a blizzard of ice and darkness that threatened to engulf the entire battlefield. Elara stood before the storm, her hands raised, her voice a low, resonant chant. She called upon the warmth of the sun, the strength of the ear,